What's something strange your body does that you know isn't quite right, but also isn't quite serious enough to get checked out by a doctor? Well, every once in a while, my eyes will go blurry and I can't see for a few seconds. I've learned to wait it out, but it seriously freaked me out when I was younger, but from what I know, it's basically harmless. By the way, I have 20/20 vision, so it's not my eyesight getting worse over the years. Chirophonics. I don't know, mine's similar to your condition, but instead of going blurry for a few seconds if I've been lying down for too long, then I stand up, then I get this dizzy feeling, and I kind of have a blackish static around my eyes that lasts for about 2 to 4 seconds, then I just feel normal. Wait, no, just found out it's called orthostatic hypotension, and I'm just really dehydrated. This is what has been happening. Just wanted to edit this to show everyone I finally figured it out. Thanks for the advice from everyone though, and have a nice day. I get that when I'm overly tired. Then I won't be able to focus my eyes and I'll have to go to sleep. When I cough, a spot in the middle of my back itches like mad. Also, once every few months, I'll turn my head a certain way and it feels like something snaps in my head, and a sensation of warmth spreads out on my skull. Probably not a tumor. I will sometimes catch myself mouthing or whispering the last sentence or phrase I spoke. Drives me insane. I have one piece of hair on my arm that is white and grows super fast and can get way longer than I've ever seen an arm hair be before. I have one of those, and a few rare ones that pop up anywhere. The one on my arm is the old reliable though. I've seen it mentioned on Reddit before, so do liberally salt this, and someone said it was because the DNA for the protein that makes dark pigment has a little mutation that makes it make the same protein as a hair. So, your body is making a double hair instead of a dark hair. A hair. At totally random times, it feels like my heart keeps skipping a beat, and I feel short of breath. It goes on for a few hours usually, and then stops. I get rubber band headaches sometimes when I focus on doing a certain task. Sometimes the muscle in my hand will tense up and I have to use my other hand to unfold it. I have the first issue too. It is so uncomfortable that I've been to the ER 3 times for it and seen 2 cardiologists. Lots and lots and lots of tests later, we found out that my body is super sensitive to adrenaline. Does this happen for you when there's a situation that induces adrenaline? Nope. Most of the time it's happened is when I'm just lying in bed. I've seen a doc about it in the past, a long while ago. They just said it was my anxiety, but to be honest, I don't see how it could be because when it happens, I'm never upset or anxious. Sometimes I feel a very acute short pain in my chest for like a 1/10 of a second. It feels like it's in between my ribs, like they pinch the meat. Happens rarely, but been happening for years. My body doesn't let me know when I need to pee until it hurts. Like, I could go a whole day without peeing, and then wake up the next morning with intense stomach cramps that go away after a solid 5-minute pee. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, have I peed today? Well, you never know, and I sit down to discover that my bladder was full. You might be super constipated. Sounds weird, but I went to a urologist for the same thing. They x-rayed me, and that was the answer. When I sit in a position for too long and then arch my back, my breastbone cracks into place. Not sure if it is the breastbone, but definitely in my chest. Not me, but my uncle. He's almost 70 now. Over the past few years, he has gotten more and more grumpy. Yeah, nothing to worry about. His uncle was like that too. Something old people get. He never wanted to see a doctor, even if his cold didn't seem to go away after 2 months a few years ago. Progressed to pneumonia. He still has a nasty cough. About a month ago, my grandmother was celebrating her 93rd birthday with her children. My uncle just sat there, staring in the distance, and when trying to talk, he just mumbled. My aunt finally took charge and took him to the hospital. Brain scan was done. Turns out he had a lot of tiny brain bleeds, probably over the course of several years. Don't ignore personality changes, no matter how slowly they progress. Similar thing happened to me. When I was 24, I started changing personality-wise. I became a very angry person, irritated and then irrationally angry at the snap of a finger. In my head, I could see myself being stupidly angry and I talked myself to stop and calm down, but I just couldn't, sometimes for hours. One time I was playing pool and I kept tipping my husband's cue. He asked me politely to stop, and I got so mad at him that I stormed out of the pool hall and refused to talk to him the rest of the night. It started affecting my job. I work customer service at a call center, and you just can't be angry and sarcastic with customers, even if they deserve it. I got so many complaints, I was on the verge of being fired. So I set up a therapy appointment because I felt like I was going crazy and on the verge of a breakdown. I went, but it didn't help. 1 week later, I went to my doctor because I'd missed my period. It was time for a checkup anyhow, so my doctor did a pregnancy test and some blood tests. Pregnancy test came back negative, but the blood tests came back showing my thyroid levels out of control. I had Graves' disease. It's an autoimmune disease that attacks your thyroid and makes it produce thyroid hormone constantly. One of the major symptoms is extreme irritability, which I had in spades. I was on LiveJournal at the time, and I went back and read some of my blog posts that I'd been cataloging my symptoms, without even realizing they'd been symptoms. Insomnia, hand tremors, feeling hot all the time, skipping periods, fatigue, heart palpitations, tachycardia, weight loss. Went on disability for a few months while my doc fiddled with my medication to bring me back down, and it saved my job and my marriage. At the time, my husband was just boyfriend and was seriously considering leaving me. I can't burp. I just get this weird gurgly sound as air bubbles come up through my throat if gas comes up that way. My friend has this issue, so much so that it affects her everyday life. She went to Chicago and saw a doctor who gave her Botox in her throat. Now she can burp and has to practice burping so that her brain learns the muscle memory. It has positively changed her life so far. Sometimes I get this weird feeling like everything is going in slow-mo. In contrast, I feel like everything I do is at normal speed. My brain just wants me to do stuff, and I feel this burst of energy that makes me feel great. However, there is always a moment where I feel like I should keep moving because if I stop, something bad will happen to me. Usually lasts a few minutes tops. When I manage to calm down, everything goes back to normal. Has been happening since I'm a kid, 24 now, and still happens every year. That's your fight or flight response kicking in without a trigger. I have generalized anxiety and a panic disorder. The slow-mo is from the panic disorder when my fight or flight goes off without a trigger. It's happened to me doing laundry, walking into a room, all kinds of mundane stuff that does not justify the response. The first time it happened, I was 10 and it was accompanied by some auditory hallucinations, an overwhelming buzzing noise. I didn't know it was anything not normal and always just thought it was something cool my brain could do. It wasn't until I was diagnosed with anxiety that we figured out what that was too. I feel the need to close my eyes very tight about once every 5 minutes. Hopefully it doesn't make me look like a complete psycho. This sounds like a motor tic, motor Tourette's. I have the same thing, but I rapidly blink and clench my eyes shut like constantly, as well as raising and lowering my eyebrows. So yeah, great fun. Every once in a while holding a stack of books or a box or similar shaped stuff, where the tips of my fingers are bent but the rest are straight, my fingers would lock in place so I'd have to move my arms and hands in a specific way to unblock them and move my fingers properly. My knees, legs, and butt always vibrate. I don't know why, I might have a phone inside me. Lol, personal trainer here. It's probably just muscle spasms. Eat more bananas, drink more water, and get more sleep. Easier said than done, I know. Random twitchy muscles. Often enough to notice that it happens, yet infrequent enough not to be of any concern. Muscle spasms. Totally normal. You probably aren't eating enough potassium, drinking enough water, or getting enough sleep. My stomach makes so much noise. Hungry, full, doesn't matter, just weird audible squeaky or whistle or gurgle noises all the time. Like there have been times when my husband is across the room and he can hear my weird tummy talking. I also am very irregular and get horrible stomach cramps, dizziness, heart palpitations, and get overheated almost every time I go to the bathroom. I had a loud stomach, but I later learned it was lactose intolerance. It's all quiet in there now that I don't eat dairy so much anymore. I don't need to pee, then I really need to pee. Like if I don't get to the toilet ASAP, I'm going to pee myself. There's no in between. Sometimes when I sneeze, I get severe pain, stiffness, and pressure in my arms. Internet says it's a pinched nerve. It goes away after a few seconds. Never told the doctor about it, even though it's been happening since I was a kid. Sometimes I can't swallow food or water. It's like my throat just randomly closes, and it isn't a food allergy either. I'm able to swallow if I quickly twist my neck to the side. It temporarily opens my throat. Doesn't happen often enough to warrant a doctor visit. Every single time I swallow, my ears pop. The bags under my eyes get purple sometimes. I got a bit of a farmer's tan, but the parts of my skin that are exposed to the sun are like an olive color. Some days I look as pale as a dead man, but feel perfectly fine. My right testicle randomly hurts. I started balding at 16. Sometimes it feels like my heart skips a beat, but that actually went away. I hear people arguing when I try to fall asleep. Look up exploding head syndrome. I hear odd noises when I fall asleep sometimes too. People yelling, often my name, or loud clapping or banging sounds. Always just for a second. This is one that previously happened and is solved as far as I'm concerned. For a couple years, every time I ran my dishwasher, my eyes got really dry. That makes no sense, right? It was a minor annoyance, but too ridiculous to say out loud, even to a doctor. Years later, I got diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome. My immune system mistakenly attacks my tear ducts, and my eyes get really dry. Scientists think it's kicked in by an exposure to a toxin, like mold, that sends your immune system haywire. My old apartment was full of black mold in the walls. Every time I ran my dishwasher, it got in there and wet the mold and made it worse. I'm so glad to figure out I wasn't just imagining things because I knew I wasn't. Well, I don't think it's really a problem worth getting worried over, but it's something that I always thought wasn't really normal. I get this really weird feeling in my brain sometimes that's incredibly hard to describe, which is honestly why I've never talked to anyone about it. It's like a brain shiver? Like when you get the chills, but it's only happening inside your skull and not the rest of your body. There's also a weird, almost squeaky sound in my ears when it happens. When I was little, I used to think it was my brain getting another wrinkle because I learned something that made me smarter, LMAO. Huh, sounds a bit like a symptom of SSRI withdrawal. When I stare at something for too long, everything goes dark. You oversaturate your retina. It's like going inside from a bright outside, but when you stare, you aren't blinking and the light takes over. Blink more. My stomach hurts between breakfast and lunch almost every day, because I'm hungry, I guess, and hurts worse after I eat. It's a short pain that goes away if I lay completely flat on the ground. I've resorted to laying down in a few public bathrooms before, happening since 4th grade. I'm going to college now.